Day 204 Delta, Planet Veros 9, the 13th dusk. The sky bled into a violent crimson as dusk fell over Veros 9, and the jungle exhaled a breath of bioluminescent mist. From a moss-covered outcrop, she stumbled forward, barefoot, slick with sweat, blood oozing from the gash in her left shoulder. Her breath was silent but rapid, a controlled tremble beneath her ribs. Then came the sound. A razor-sharp hiss cleaved through the silence, followed by a sickening wet snap, like flesh torn from bone. She didn't need to look back. She already knew. The boy with the silver visor, Callan, was gone. Not killed, not erased, split in half, taken by something that didn't make sound, didn't cast shadow. Didn't obey physics or mercy. She didn't scream. There was no point. Screaming wouldn't slow the predators or summon rescue. It would only waste oxygen and dignity. Instead, she pressed her back against the cold bark of a vine-wrapped tree. One hand gripping her pulse gun, the other clutching the edge of the biointerface embedded along her forearm. A flicker, a whisper from the screen. *Hunter protocol engaged. Survival window, 11 HOURS 58 minutes. Environmental hazard level, maximum. Objective, survive until first light. So it had begun, the D-13 trial. From somewhere deeper in the jungle came a chorus of clicks, low and intelligent. Not mechanical, not primal. The sound of something that knew exactly what it was hunting and enjoyed it. Her grip tightened. Her fingers, slick with her own blood, almost slipped from the handle. A scream erupted to her right, sharp, female, then abruptly strangled. Another one gone. They were falling too fast. She wasn't here to win. She was here to learn what they truly wanted from her. The mist thickened, glowing red from spores released by the carnivorous trees that digested flesh with polite silence. And yet they weren't the real threat, not tonight. Her eyes, once a dull gray, now pulsed with a faint violet shimmer, their color shifting in tandem with her accelerated neural firing. A symptom of the genetic mutation she carried, neuroempathic divergence class 3. Engineered for high-sensitivity perception, she could detect signals most couldn't hear, interpret instincts most couldn't trust. And she heard it now, a heartbeat not hers, too fast. Too close, too wrong. She dropped to one knee, pressing her body into the mud, slowing her breath until it nearly stopped. The heartbeat, no, the echo of one, hovered above her like a ghost trapped in orbit. She didn't move. The predators didn't see in color or heat. They felt patterns emotion rhythms, micro-muscle tensions, the ripple of uncertainty through the air. A flicker of warmth brushed her mind. Not contact, recognition. Whatever it was, it knew she was there, but it hadn't struck. Why? She tilted her head just slightly, pupils dilated wide, parsing the jungle with senses beyond sight. A dozen shadows moved among the trees, but none touched the ground. No sound, no breath, only pressure, waves of something deeper than sound. She could feel them sifting through her memories, or something close to it. As if deciding what she was worth. She whispered, not with fear but fury, "This is what you wanted to test. How long it takes before I become one of them." No answer came, except the distant groan of the forest folding into itself. As if Veros 9 had just exhaled. Somewhere above, clouds pulsed like veins across the sky, casting the jungle in waves of shifting luminescence. Everything here was alive. Everything wanted something. The rules were simple: survive till dawn or disappear from history. No reinforcements, no fail-safes, no names recorded unless success was absolute. She was disposable. They all were. Genetically augmented lab rats let loose into a synthetic hell. Watched by unseen eyes in orbital labs, collecting data. But she had stopped caring about passing this test the moment Callan died, the moment she heard that laugh in the predator's silence. This wasn't about honor. It wasn't even about fear. This was about what kind of monster she would become to walk out of here alive. Another alert flashed across her arm. 4 down. 7 remaining. She closed her eyes. The wind shifted. One of them was close again, but this time she didn't feel hunted. She felt evaluated, as if someone was waiting for her to make a choice. Her body, trembling from adrenaline, slowly calmed. Not from courage, but clarity. The pain in her shoulder was real. The blood in her mouth was real, but so was the stillness. She whispered to the dark, not knowing if it heard her or asterisk was her. "Then let's begin." And she stood, alone, glowing faintly in the red mist. The 13th dusk had claimed its price, but she had only begun to awaken. Her name was Elira, and she was not born to be loved. She was born in a sterile chamber beneath the Arctic spire, where the wind never reached, and the concept of warmth had been omitted by design. Her birth wasn't marked by crying or celebration, only data logged on a cold glass screen. Elira was not the child of 2 parents, but the result of a neural cell manipulation protocol designed to enhance cross-sensory cognition and emotional resonance absorption. In other words, they built her to feel everything especially what others could not. Her DNA wasn't celebrated, it was optimized. Her parents were not caretakers, they were donor identifiers. Their job was to disappear after providing genetic material. Love wasn't on the curriculum, only calibration. From infancy, she was surrounded by sterile white, monitored 24 hours a day, and injected with emotion inhibitors to prevent overload during neural mapping. She didn't learn to walk. She was taught to stalk trained to monitor body temperature, microexpressions, and scent fluctuations from the age of 2. While other children learned lullabies, she learned how to control her heartbeat. She spoke late, not out of delay but defiance. Silence was her rebellion. She had nothing to say to the world that kept her in observation tanks and called her subject I7A, empath variant. Her first word wasn't mother or yes, it was why. But no one answered. By 9, her intelligence was classified as superhuman. By 12, she had surpassed even her synthetic tutors. But knowledge wasn't freedom. Her every movement was monitored, every decision analyzed. She wasn't a girl. She was a weapon in testing . A creature with a nervous system built for war but a soul that still wondered what soft meant. She never had a friend, only covariants in adjacent cells, some older, some younger. None allowed eye contact for more than 6 seconds. One girl had smiled at her once, subject K4M. The next day, she was removed. Rumor among the monitors was that K4M experienced bonding drift, a violation of containment ethics. Elira didn't smile again. She didn't cry either, not when the nutrient solution burned her stomach. Not when her fingertips bled from overstimulation tests. Not even when they introduced controlled pain to test emotional desensitization. She endured, she memorized, she adapted. At 16, they gave her a choice. Or rather, the illusion of 1. Join the HRC program. Apply your abilities. You may earn your classification. She asked, voice razor flat, and if I refuse, the handler didn't flinch. Refusal will be recorded as system expiration. Your genetic data will be archived. That is all, she nodded once. The cold steel door opened. It was not escape. It was voluntary deployment. The Human Restoration Coalition needed unique operatives to interface with alien systems, hostile environments, and semi-sentient ecosystems. Elira was perfect, a human interface, a living antenna of pain and perception. She arrived at the HRC command base under a false identity, one of several hundred special cadets. Most were augmented with strength enhancers, some with cortical boosters. She was different and everyone knew it. They called her Shadow Core. Not out loud, but she heard it, every murmur, every breath that paused when she passed. They didn't fear her body. They feared her eyes, the violet shimmer that pulsed when she sensed someone lying. They feared that she could feel their asterisk doubt before they spoke, that she could see where their scars really were. In training, she was flawless. But not loud, she never bragged, she never challenged. She simply remembered every drill, every insult, every secret conversation 2 levels below in command room echo, which she could overhear through pulse vibration mapping. She watched, she waited, she didn't speak unless spoken to. But her silence was a blade. One night, a drill sergeant approached her with false sympathy. "You're quiet, Elira. What are you thinking?" She stared at him for 3 full seconds before answering. "If I kill everything they send at me, will they give me a real name?" He laughed. But it sounded hollow. No one ever answered her questions. Not then. Not when 3 cadets died under mysterious conditions and the reports were wiped. Not when the simulations were modified mid-run to test ethical failure under pressure. She passed them all and hated every second of it. Because in her mind, something new had begun to form. A question that wasn't part of the tests, one they hadn't planted or measured. Could she survive without having to kill? That question haunted her more than anything else. Because the truth she feared was this: maybe she couldn't. And if that was true, if all she'd ever be was a mirror of pain and violence, then what was the point of being born at all? So when they told her about Vero's 9, about the D13 trial, about the harmless challenge that had already claimed 17 participants, she didn't hesitate. She volunteered. The others called it a death wish. She called it something else, a crucible, a test no lab could simulate. No ethics override could sterilize. One night, a jungle of alien consciousness, invisible predators, and a silence so absolute even memory would scream. It was the first place in her life where nothing could be controlled. And that, she hoped, was where she might finally find something close to freedom. Or at least, a death that belonged entirely to her. They didn't just hunt flesh, they hunted fear. The first hour of the D13 trial was the quietest. Not because it was safe, but because the jungle had not yet decided which sounds were worth allowing. 5 candidates entered the quadrant together, their movements sharp, their adrenaline still burning from the drop. The air shimmered with spore dust and faint electromagnetic noise, like static crawling across the skin. They moved in practice formation, 2 forward, 2 rear, Elira in the center, but it didn't take long for the first fracture. Within 20 minutes, the tall one, Marin, suggested splitting up. "More ground, less noise. One of us might make it through," she said, forcing a smile that trembled at the corners. No one argued. Survival wasn't personal here. It was mathematical asterisk. The odds were better apart. They each chose a vector and vanished into the red mist. 37 minutes in, Elira found the first sign of disappearance. A scrap of synthetic fabric, snagged on a branch 7 meters above the ground asterisk. It flapped slowly, soaked in something too dark to be blood. The tree beneath it bore no claw marks, no snapped branches. It was as if the girl had been lifted erased, not killed, just removed. No scream, no body, just a whisper in the mist. The jungle had made a decision. She crouched low, activating her neural scan, but the readings were fractured, disrupted by a wave of static radiation. emanating from the surrounding moss. Every time she focused, the data pulsed back at her asterisk, echoing like sonar, as if the environment were aware she was watching. Then came the dots, tiny pinpricks of light drifting in the air like dust motes, but moving against the wind. Asterisk asterisk 2 controlled, 2 rhythmic asterisk asterisk. Elira reached out. They recoiled, not randomly, deliberately. Somewhere behind her, a voice broke through the comms, harsh, panicked. Don't let them feel your heartbeat. The connection died instantly. She didn't know who it was, maybe one of the others. Maybe just a recorded echo, but the words struck her hard. Not see, feel. These predators weren't biological in the way humans understood it. They didn't track scent. They didn't rely on vision. They sensed asterisk asterisk rhythmic signatures asterisk asterisk, heartbeat patterns, breath frequency, emotional oscillation. They didn't want heat. They wanted asterisk fear asterisk asterisk. They drank it like nectar. And then she felt it, something synchronizing her pulse. Her breath, each inhalation matched, each exhale mirrored. Not lagging, not ahead, perfectly timed. Something out there in the mist was asterisk asterisk breathing with her asterisk asterisk. She froze, closed her eyes, slowed her lungs, not completely but fractionally. A technique she'd been taught during deep focus neural meditation. But the synchrony persisted. The phantom heartbeat matched her change. It adjusted, reacted. It was learning her. Her hands dropped to her sides. Palms open, fingers relaxed. She didn't reach for the weapon. Not yet. She stood completely still, letting the soft hum of her nervous system settle into neutrality. And then it appeared, not with light, not with sound, but with asterisk absence asterisk. About 3 meters ahead, the rain mist didn't fall. The spores shifted direction. The dust suspended in the air created a silhouette, not of a creature, but of asterisk space being displaced asterisk. A presence, a suggestion, a consciousness without shape. It didn't attack, it just stood there, watching, waiting. She looked at it, eyes calm, body open, but her thoughts raced. No creature held position that long without intent. This was no drone. It wasn't confused. It wasn't curious. It was asterisk asterisk testing asterisk. She let her mind reach outward, not with thoughts but with emotional projection. A trick she'd never told the scientists. Her mutation wasn't just sensitivity to emotion. It was asterisk asterisk transmission asterisk. She could echo back what others radiated, but in distorted form, like a mirror slightly bent. She projected calm, then curiosity, then quietly defiance. The air shimmered again. The outline pulsed, almost imperceptibly, like a breath drawn sharply and held. A shift in weight, a flicker of refusal, and that was when she knew. It had understood her, not as prey, not as a threat, but as asterisk asterisk something else, an anomaly, a contradiction. A creature that did not respond with the expected. She whispered, softly enough for the jungle to absorb the sound, "I see you." Still no movement, only presence. Then she whispered again, not with words but with meaning, letting her heart slow. Her body open, her energy surrender to the dark. "I understand." The shape twitched and vanished, not retreating. Not fleeing, just gone, as if it had never been there. As if it had simply blinked out of relevance. She didn't move for 10 full seconds. Her skin was cold, despite the heat. Her legs trembled beneath her. But she smiled, not out of victory but comprehension. She exhaled slowly, and spoke to the empty air, not as a soldier, not as prey, but as someone who had finally heard the silent voice behind the trial. "I get it now," she said, and the jungle listened. The second hour brought no relief, only silence, stretched thinner than breath and heavier than gravity. 2 more had vanished, no alarms, no blood trails. Just the dull, procedural tone on Elira's forearm interface. Life signals lost, Subject 9. Subject 2. Her chest ached, not from grief. She had been engineered without full emotional bandwidth, but from something she didn't yet have words for. Not sadness, not fear, something closer to recognition, as if the jungle were whispering, "You're next." But she wasn't ready to die. Not yet. As the fog thickened, she moved low, silent as memory, until she reached the marsh basin noted in the briefing, a crater lake of bioluminescent sludge, rich in reactive compounds and bacterial pulses. The mud shimmered faintly, like the skin of a sleeping organism. It was dangerous, unstable, and alive. She dove in without hesitation. The cold hit first, then the weight, the pressure wrapped around her like fingers. She didn't struggle. She let herself sink, breath held, arms floating, as the substance coated every inch of her body. And in the darkness below, her mind quieted, her heartbeat slowed, then shifted, and in that stillness something extraordinary happened. The bioluminescent particles, unthinking, primitive, began to synchronize with her neural rhythm. But not with the rhythm she currently had. They aligned with an asterisk mirror asterisk of it, inverted. Her mutation, her neural projection ability, had unknowingly sent a asterisk asterisk reverse signal asterisk, like a counterharmony to her own biological music. And the mud responded. When she emerged, she was transformed. Her body was coated in a thin, glowing layer, pulsing with light that danced not with her heartbeat, but against its asterisk. A visual contradiction, a biological paradox. To the predators tuned into human fear rhythms, she would no longer register as prey. She had become an anomaly, an echo from something outside their instincts. She stood on the bank, her breathing measured, her eyes reflecting the violet haze of the moons above. And then, without warning, the air shifted. They arrived. 3 distortions in the mist, moving without sound. Bending light, not with cloaking, but with asterisk absence asterisk. Shapes that weren't there, yet still cast no shadows. The first moved within 2 meters, its outline pulsing like a heat wave. Then it halted. The second crept behind her, no attack, only pause. The third emerged last and knelt asterisk asterisk, and the others followed. Not in threat, not in fear, in asterisk reverence. Elira didn't flinch. She didn't speak. Her body was still, balanced between possibility and collapse. Her skin glowed with that reverse rhythm, pulsing not with life, but with defiance of pattern. She understood, in a sudden wave of primal certainty, these creatures were not merely hunters. They were asterisk pack-bound asterisk asterisk, following signals, orders, asterisk asterisk hierarchy asterisk asterisk. And they recognized something in her, something they hadn't seen in millennia. A shape, a pulse, a signal. Once long ago, a species had ruled these jungles. A species with a similar biological cadence to hers. Not human, not alien, but lost, extinct. What she wore now was not mud. It was asterisk asterisk memory. Her mutation hadn't made her invisible. It had made her asterisk familiar asterisk to something ancient. Something sacred. She wasn't prey, she wasn't threat. She was asterisk command asterisk asterisk. Still, she said nothing. She only stepped forward slowly. One pace, then another. The kneeling shapes remained still, heads bowed, not to her but to the signal she now carried. They weren't following her. They were asterisk responding to a ghost asterisk asterisk, and she was its vessel. Then the tallest of the 3 let out a sound. It was not a roar, not a growl. It was a fractured tone, multi-layered asterisk asterisk a warning pulse. Her mutation translated it instinctively. A message, not in language but intent. Danger, foreign minds, killers from the sky. Elira understood instantly. The real hunters were coming, not these spectral beasts, but the asterisk others asterisk. The off-worlders. Scary, alien mercenaries bred for ecosystem interference, sent to control or eliminate variables beyond HRC expectations. They didn't test survival, they eliminated anomalies. And she had just become the biggest one. She looked up. The sky had shifted from red to a deeper hue, like clotted blood beneath glass. The stars above were too uniform, too still, satellites. Observation units, kill switches. She felt it in her chest, the slow hum of orbital engines powering up. The D-13 trial had shifted phases. She was no longer being tested. She was being hunted for real asterisk. The question loomed, cold and immediate. Would she use the reverence of these creatures? Manipulate their belief, weaponize their loyalty? It would be easy. She could command them, march them into battle, let them rip the mercenaries apart while she stood untouched. But then what? Survival built on deception, victory by inheritance of a myth that wasn't hers. She looked down at her hands, still glowing, not with power, but with memory. This wasn't hers, it was borrowed. It was a mask formed in blood and extinction, and yet she had survived. She had adapted. She had found a way to exist outside the predator-prey equation. Could she give that up now? Her lips parted. Her voice was quiet, but the jungle heard it like thunder. If I survive this, I'll do it as myself, not a weapon. Not a queen, not a ghost, Elira, and the shapes before her still knelt. Not because they misunderstood her, but because they understood her better than anyone else ever had. The fifth hour brought no mercy, only choices that rewrote what it meant to be alive. By the fifth hour of night, the jungle no longer breathed. It watched, every vine curled inward, every glowing mist drooped like a curtain pulled over stage lights. Even the wind retreated, as if the forest itself was bracing for a verdict it could not influence. Elira stood motionless beneath the ancient canopy, her body still covered in the pulsing mud, a skin of inverted rhythm. That made her invisible to instinct, yet radiant to history. Around her, the three creatures knelt in reverent stillness, their semi-visible forms creating shadows that didn't follow logic. Then came the shift. From above, without sound or flash, the sky fractured. A ripple of blue light cut through the dark, not natural. Not celestial, manufactured, designed, scary. They had arrived. The alien hunters descended without ceremony, 3 units, each sleek and angular like predatory statues forged from mercury. Scari were not beasts. They were engineered intelligences, trained to hijack ecosystems, enslave living systems, and reprogram the loyalty of organic species. They didn't destroy what they found. They rewrote it. The lead Scari hovered 10 meters away, its form flickering with layered signals, invisible to the naked eye, but devastatingly clear to anything that breathed. Elira felt it instantly. The mud on her skin twitched. Not physically, but at the molecular level, the signal had found her. It was trying to rewrite her asterisk, not to kill, but to reclassify asterisk. Her pulse faltered, the rhythm inverted again, out of sync. And the kneeling creatures noticed. They shifted, not violently. Not immediately, but enough. One tilted its head, another took a step back. Their glowing outlines trembled, not from fear but from confusion. They no longer saw the divine pattern. They saw asterisk interference asterisk. Then one lunged. It was the youngest of the trio, faster than the others, more reactive. A claw arced through the air, catching Elira's side just beneath the rib. A shallow gash, but deep enough to shock her out of her trance. She stumbled back, clutching her side. Pain flared, hot and humiliating. Her instinct screamed, draw the weapon, retaliate, assert dominance. But she didn't move, because before she could react, a second creature, one of the older ones, leapt forward and slammed into the attacker. No hesitation, no command, just asterisk protection. The two figures tumbled to the ground in a blur of flickering outlines. And when the dust settled, only one rose. The protector remained still. A soft, warbling hum escaped its chest, then faded. The glow beneath its skin dimmed like a star dying quietly. It had given its life for her, and all at once the truth landed with crushing weight. They weren't following her because of her strength, or her silence, or even the signals she wore. They followed because they believed asterisk, believed in something older than weapons, older than fear. And she, she had allowed them to believe asterisk. Now one of them had died for that illusion. Elira dropped to her knees beside the fallen form. The mud on her skin still pulsed erratically, flickering with corrupted signals. Her breath came shallow. The air vibrated with scary data, an ever-present hum of violation. She could feel the remaining creatures watching, waiting for her next move. They no longer knew what she was, neither did she. If she acted like a human, panicked, screamed, drew her gun, they would flee. Or worse turn. If she acted like a god, cold, commanding, untouched by loss, she would keep control. They might continue to follow her, might even protect her. The role was hers to reclaim, but her heart, broken and human, chose neither. She reached forward. Her hand shook as she placed her palm against the dying creature's forehead, if it even had one. Its surface felt warm, organic, sacred in its simplicity. Not beast, not machine, just a live asterisk. She leaned closer, eyes blurring, voice steady but low, spoken not to them. Not to the jungle, but to the one that had given its life. "I'm not a god," she whispered. "I'm just someone who knows how to bow before death." No thunder, no revelation, only stillness, and then something impossible. The remaining two creatures knelt, again, without hesitation. Despite the blood, despite the wound, despite the glitch in her rhythm. They knelt, not to power, not to perfection, but to humility. They saw her break, and in that breaking saw truth. And chose to believe anyway. In the distance, the scare pulsed louder. Their signals deepened, aggressive now, perhaps confused by the outcome they hadn't calculated. Their reclassification attempt had failed, because Elira hadn't asserted dominance. She had grieved, and that was something the algorithms had never been trained to counter. She rose slowly, her breath ragged, blood soaking into the mud along her waist. The scare would come, she knew that there would be more. Faster, stronger, smarter, but for now in that hollow between loss and defiance. She had reclaimed something that mattered far more than command, her choice. To be seen, to be hurt, to be real, and the jungle, ancient, cruel, and watching, let her stand. Not as an anomaly, but as herself. Dawn hovered at the edge of the world like a question yet unanswered. The sky above Vero's 9 bled from violet into gray, and the forest, which had for hours held its breath, now stirred with cautious silence, but peace was nowhere near. The scare had adapted, no longer content with subtle signals and neural reclassification. They had deployed something more brutal, resonant coercion. High-frequency sound pulses, inaudible to human ears, designed to hijack the biosynaptic channels of the native creatures. Not pain, not fear, control, it was happening now. Elira stood atop a stone outcrop, overlooking the basin where the creatures once gathered. Her skin, still streaked with drying mud and blood, pulsed erratically. A jagged line of red cut down from her temple, the result of an earlier clash. Her balance swayed, knees trembling beneath her weight. But she stayed standing. Below, the two surviving creatures twitched. Their limbs moved unnaturally, spasming in synchronized bursts. Their glowing outlines began to flicker, not with their usual rhythm but with an imposed one, synthetic, mechanical, unfeeling. The Sci-Fi were overriding them. Elira clenched her fists. She could feel it too, a pressure in the air, a vibration in her spine. It wasn't physical pain, but invasive intent ***. The kind of signal that didn't kill you, just emptied you ** from within. And if it succeeded, the creatures would no longer kneel. No longer choose. They would become tools, puppets of a protocol far older than empathy. She couldn't let that happen, but her weapons were gone. Her neural suppressor chip had fried in the last encounter. Her body was near collapse. Only one thing remained. Her mutation. She dropped to one knee, one hand pressed against the stone, the other against her chest. Closing her eyes, she drew inward, not to her training but to the space beneath it. The place no code had touched. The raw core of who she was, beneath experiments, beneath programming, beneath pain. Emotion, not rage, not fear, compassion. She summoned it, unfiltered and painful, and released it outward, not in words. Not in sound, but in ***wave***. A psychic pulse formed not from intellect, but from meaning. A pure signal, a heartbeat of *** mercy. She amplified it, channeling it through every strand of her nervous system. Her skin shivered, her vision blurred, but the creatures heard. Their bodies paused mid-spasm, the forced rhythm cracked. One stumbled back, head shaking violently as if resisting an invisible leash. The other fell to all fours, panting. Elira screamed, not aloud but through the ether of mind and spirit, "Don't fight them. Just leave and live." She wasn't commanding. She was begging ***. There is no need to win. There is only need to remember. Let one of you survive, to remember that we didn't all choose to be monsters. The pulse rippled out again, stronger, deeper. A resonance not of domination but of * release. And the jungle heard ***. The mist shifted, the vibration halted. The Sci-Fi's signal fractured. The two creatures looked up at her, no longer confused, no longer enslaved. And then, without a sound, they vanished into the jungle, their outlines fading into the glowing mist. Leaving only footprints in silence, the Sci-Fi froze. With no more targets, their program stuttered. For a moment they hesitated, unsure what to do with a battlefield where belief had undone weaponry. Elira collapsed, her knees gave out, her face struck stone. The sky above spun. Every cell in her body burned from overuse, from neural overload. But she didn't cry out, she didn't panic. She had done what she came to do. She had refused to become what they expected. Moments or hours passed. Time dissolved into a haze of broken breathing and shallow heartbeat. Then the hum of rotors. A spotlight pierced the treetops, white and clinical. A rescue drone descended from the clouds, its engines parting the jungle's canopy like ancient hands peeling open a wound. Metal arms lifted her gently. A voice crackled through the haze. Cold, familiar. "Candidate I-7A, you have violated protocol. Unauthorized interference with Class VIII fauna. Unregistered bioemission transmission. You were instructed not to engage." She didn't open her eyes. But her voice, hoarse and cracked, still rose. "I didn't survive to win. I survived so I wouldn't become like you." The voice said nothing. But the silence said everything. Above, dawn broke, not with triumph but with a quiet that could no longer be unmade. When life is no longer a game, every choice becomes a legacy. Veros 9 was never meant to be remembered. It was a proving ground, anonymous, brutal, efficient. A place where protocols were stress-tested, not people. Where survival was data, and death was a necessary loss margin. But after Elira, the maps changed. The coordinates of her trial zone were renamed by command staff who never dared set foot there again. No longer Sector 204 Delta, now the sanctuary without blood. No one saw the invisible creatures again. No drones returned with footage. But the signal logs recorded something impossible, a complete failure of the Sci-Fi override protocols. Not jammed, not counter-hacked, denied. Denied not by weapons but by a signal pattern that no algorithm had predicted. Emotional transmission, uncontrolled and pure. A waveform that expressed not dominance but release. Not force but choice. Elira had made no speech. She had won no medal. In fact, she refused debriefing altogether. She rejected commendations, refused transport off-world, and declined reintegration into the HRC. She stayed. Not as a ruler, not as a legend, but as a promise kept. Deep in the red jungle, under skies that bled new shades of meaning, she chose to live not as a human defined by systems, but as a creature finally freed of them. She walked the paths where the invisible ones once knelt. She planted nothing, built nothing, yet the forest never harmed her. Some said she lived alone. Others claimed she was never truly alone again. The HRC left her a private channel, secure, encrypted, never answered. And yet one message was found in her file, written not for data, but for memory. A note never sent, but logged and sealed in the final report of the D13 trial. It read, "If you are human, remember this. There are beings in this universe that don't need you to conquer them or save them. They need only to know that you do not see them as tools. Asterisk technology can create life, but only compassion can make life choose to stand beside you in the dark." That file circulated quietly through the ranks of the coalition. Some dismissed it as sentiment, others quietly did not. And in time, Veros 9 was removed from active use. Too many anomalies. Too many questions. Too much that couldn't be controlled. Yet the story persisted, of a girl born without a name, engineered to track pain. A girl who spoke little, fought without hatred, and defied every prediction by choosing not to kill what could have served her. A girl who stood on stone while bleeding, and told the void that she did not come to win asterisk. She came not to become what had created her, and in that moment she redefined what victory could mean. Not survival, not control, but being remembered for the mercy you gave when no one demanded it. In a world built on precision and calculation, Elira became something they couldn't measure, a legacy of restraint. A decision, a scar that chose not to become a blade. And though she vanished from their reports, from their rosters, from their chain of command, her name, once just a code, echoed in silence, in circuits, in the hesitant hearts of those who came after. Not as a soldier, not even as a myth, but as a warning. And a hope that one day others would understand, not all victories wear armor. Not all heroes raise weapons, and not all gods demand obedience. Some simply kneel beside the dying asterisk and whisper asterisk, "I see you. I will not use you, I will not become them." And in that whisper, life begins again.